Hello, my name is Christian Pusteri, and I will be presenting the issues of the efficiency for the solution and its disadvantage of the advocates. The advocate proposes a solution to expand military operations in Syria and Iraq. The solution to target ISIS with military forces will not be effective. ISIS is not the primary cause of terrorism or violence in Syria and Iraq. The president of Syria, Assad, racketeers off terrorist groups and allows lawlessness in his country. He's often dealt and given oil companies and oil barrels to ISIS, as well as from a IHS Jane's Terrorist and Insurgency Center database found just 6% of this Syrian regime using counterterrorism operations. Essentially, that this is his own country and he's not doing anything against this terrorism. He's allowing it for this to occur. So ISIS isn't the real root, it's one of the parties that's occurring in it. Political instability has encouraged extremist groups to conduct terrorism and violence. The United States needs to repair the government of Syria first before it can attack any terrorist groups. Fisher Max, a journalist on Syria and the political state, was quoted saying, "Meanwhile, the group has saw an opportunity in Syria," he's talking about ISIS, "where peaceful protests descended into violence in mid-2012, 2011. We began establishing a presence in Syria in mid-2011 in order to participate in the fighting against Assad's regime, a move that helped it gain its fighters a valuable battlefield." You see a lot of terrorist groups out here that are using this political instability in order to take control in the way that they want, take control of the government. So again, using military forces against ISIS will not solve the problem. The political instability in Syria will, once we correct that, all the terrorist groups will be eliminated or dwindle significantly. Assad's regime is killing more people than ISIS is. The Syrian Network for Human Rights and the London-based Syria Human Rights Committee, the Violations Document Center, 3 different document centers in Syria, all documented deaths and received statistics that 76% of deaths were by government forces, Assad's forces. 18% were by extremist groups, which is ISIS. So we see a huge minority of ISIS groups actually killing the civilian or Syrian population. Now I will explain the disadvantage of the affirmative solution to expand military operations in Syria and Iraq. The expansion of military operations against ISIS will be ineffective in stopping terrorism and has never been defeated through attacking extremist groups with military force. The intervention met with Al-Qaeda did not work, and ISIS will not either. The U.S. commander in Iraq, Ray Ordinero, described ISIS and Al-Qaeda fundamentally the same. U.S. troops in 2007 destroyed Al-Qaeda tactics, but umbrella groups such as ISIS emerged again in 2011. Similar tactics of military operation will hold no effectiveness because of similar groups will always emerge. If we use the same tactics we did against Al-Qaeda, then ISIS might be destroyed, but just an umbrella party will emerge again later. Goodman, an Iraq journalist, reports 80% of ISIS has ties to Sunni Islamic religion, and that no amount of U.S. military intervention will achieve long-term stability. Peace cannot be met or be accomplished without the resolution of the Shia and Sunni religious conflict. What's at the heart of the ISIS right now is the Sunni and Shia conflict. So without resolving that, just attacking a group such as ISIS, that's not what's the real root of the problem here. The current military intervention has not shown slowing to ISIS forces as of right now. The current military intervention has not shown slowing of ISIS forces. The military operations have induced harm to Syrian civilians. ISIS needs to be fought. The Syrian government is being plagued by the ISIS fight. So the Western intervention in Syria is not aimed at alleviating the suffering of Syrians or addressing the root causes of the conflict, according to a new book by Syrian researcher Sahim Abdul. many Syrians are saying that this conflict is only causing more havoc. So if the advocate's position is to eliminate ISIS to help Syrian refugees or Syrian civilization, it's actually the interference or the military operation is actually harming it more than helping it. The American airstrikes have actually killed innocent people. 181 civilians estimated dead by American-led airstrikes. The Syrian Observation for Human Rights have estimated that 181 civilians have been killed in the coalition airstrikes campaign against the Islamic State of mid-August. Other groups have given higher estimated, all saying that the United States and its allies understand the civil toll. The United States Center Command says it's confirmed the deaths of only 2 civilians since the start of the campaign. We have civilian reports and databases saying that they've killed near 200 people, where America is only saying that they've killed 2 people. There's a large difference here, and America may not be telling the truth of how many Syrian people they're hurting. Current military intervention has shown no results. U.S. officials and defense analysis believe that simply intensifying airstrikes will do little to diminish the power of the Islamic State. Professor Paul Rogers points out in his latest excellent background briefing on the crisis that despite 3 months of airstrike, ISIS continues its awful massacres, continues to Beijing, Koban, and continues its advances on territory, even to the gates of Baghdad itself. Rather than being a solution, airstrikes are a recruiting tool for ISIS to present itself as a vanguard in defense of Islam. So over the course of the time, America's military intervention has shown no results since its beginning. Again, just to summarize, the efficiency of the affirmative solution and its disadvantage is that the military operations will be ineffective, and that ISIS is not the primary cause of terrorism and violence in Syria and Iraq.